I have spent the past half hour listening to a dog constantly roll around trying to get himself comfortable. And unable to do so. Can relate. I feel the same way in this chair. I think that's a good enough level. That should be a decent level. Not too loud. Not too quiet. Just barely there. I myself cannot get comfortable in my own chair. Then again, I've never been able to get comfortable in this chair. And yet, it's the only chair I have, and probably will be the only chair I ever have for a very long time. So, kind of have to make do, but you can sort of hear it creaking as I move around. I don't know if it's picking that up. Yeah, we're real old school here. Old and busted. As Will Smith would put it. Old and busted, new hot. I don't got the new hot, I got the old and busted. Anyway, Zen Popped energy drink. In progress. More. a lot of Zen residue just went down at the same time. That's cool. So right now, I'm kind of just trying to figure out where and what and how all of this dungeon is looking. All this dungeon. I need to try and make a conscious effort to not have it all go in the same direction. I mean, maybe I could. That's a little pedestrian. But, just gotta try and figure out what I'm about to do next on this piece. Again, I've got plenty of room to do all sorts and kinds of other things. So, it's just a matter of figuring out where to take things from here. I mean, the idea is to kind of try and bring it back to some of my older paintings, specifically back to let me show you where I'm trying to what I'm trying to get back to for a second here, just a little bit, not necessarily 100%. Let's see if I can't find a good picture of it. This one, a little bit this one too. I thought I had a better example than these two. Maybe it's on my Instagram. Mostly this one. You know, you can see kind of how it's a whole bunch of dungeon and castle kind of overlapping and overlaying to the point where it's chaotic, it's melted together. It's really hard to like find your way through this painting because it's all falling apart. This one, it's a little easier to find your way around, just a little bit, but again, it still more or less melts together. I think this is kind of more or less the direction we're trying to take it. This just amalgam of dungeon melt and psychedelia. We're basically trying to get here again, but digital, pixel, really small, because it's going to take up all of this. I mean, now that I'm doing it, I kind of wish I saved this for like a painting instead, but you know, I've been sitting on this idea for so long that I'm now at a point where I just have to get it out. I just have to get it out. There's no point on sitting on it any fucking longer. It needs to be done. So we're just gonna do it. Do it, get it done, make it okay, make it somewhat passable. And then carry on to the next one. You know, what was it? Pressfield? Who wrote that book? The War on Art. I forget who wrote it, but there's this really good passage that I think about a lot. And it's something that I'm struggling to kind of bring into my workflow here because, you know, I just have difficulty staying focused. I keep wanting to say I need to be motivated, or I need to have this, I need to have that, you know. I need to have like a ritual or an elixir of some kind to like get me going here. You know, the rotation tool here is actually very useful. I don't know why I didn't think to use it before. But this is definitely going to help me, like, warp this significantly until I get what I'm looking for. But I think it's Pressfield. Stephen Pressfield? Now I need to look that up. The War of Art. Not the Art of War. Different. Stephen Pressfield. I wanted to say Stephen, but for whatever reason I thought that was wrong. He wrote this book called The War of Art, which is all about turning pro as an artist. He talks about this encounter he had with his neighbor, who is another screenwriter like himself, and he finally finished his first major script for a play or a movie or something. And to celebrate, he goes over to his neighbor and says, "Hey man, look, I finally finished something." And he's like, "Good. Let's start the next one." I mean, damn, dude. He just straight up practically dismissed the achievement and said, keep doing it, right? Dismissed the achievement and yet encouraged him to do more. That's weird, you know? That's weird for the average mind to comprehend. You can't really put your mind to that so easily. Because it kind of sounds like you're being insulted, taken lightly. But in reality, you're receiving vital information. The importance of doing the work. It's part of the reason why I'm more interested in the process than I am in the product. But I'm getting to a point where I'm starting to realize that simply being interested in the process is not enough. I was thinking about this a little bit earlier this week, and I was starting to think about it a little bit earlier today, in my own little personal rant to no one in particular, just to myself. I was thinking about American culture and how American culture isn't the culture of the old world, because the old world had, like, you know, myths and legends and folklore, and I know America has that too. But the main cultural thing America has is business, right? It's primarily business and pursuit of the perfection of business. And a lot of people see that as inherently evil and exploitative, and for the most part it is, you know, almost overwhelmingly that's what it is. It's very cutthroat. It makes no room for the human element, you know, it's a machine Satan pursuit. It is a pursuit that is largely enabled by and encouraged by machine Satan, right? That's just what it is. That's how it is. That's how it's always been. There's no getting around that. But that is American culture, and in order for me to kind of make any headway in America as an artist, I kind of have to play ball. I don't like that, but that's where we're at. One of the things that I was thinking about is how the biggest businesses in America do business with other businesses. All right, they're not doing business with me. They're not doing business with you. We're consumers, right? The lowest form of business is the kind of business that does exchange with people like us. We don't have that much money, all right? So they're trying to squeeze pennies out of us. That is the ultimate low form of business, squeezing pennies out of people who have nothing but pennies, basically. You know, the people who are struggling to pay rent, who are struggling to get by. There's not a whole lot of money to be had here, right? From individuals, you know, you got to do it from a lot of people, but the big players, they go after and they work with primarily other people who have a lot of money, which is why they do business with other businesses. You know, they provide goods and services to help other businesses do what they do. That's kind of the ultimate goal for a lot of them, because that's where the majority of the money is. That's what I was thinking about today. And I was almost on the point of reflecting on my own art career in relation to this earlier today, but I didn't really have, I don't know how to put it. I didn't quite get there, and I kind of felt like putting it off. You know, I wanted to try and sort that out a little bit while I was streaming. Because earlier this week, when I was thinking about how I've been so concerned with the process and not with the product, it put in perspective more or less part of the reason why I fell off so hard, right? It's one of the biggest contributing factors. It isn't just that I stopped posting on the internet and I got a job and didn't have all the time that I used to have to make art. It isn't just because social media kind of fucked me up, which it did, you know. I'm not going to say that didn't have something to do with it. It absolutely had something to do with it. But I think one of the major contributing factors was the fact that I was more concerned with the process than with production of product. And I don't necessarily mean product like merchandise or what have you, but I mean, you know, like one of my favorite artists, for instance, Baker. You can find him on Instagram. Fuck you, Baker. That's his Instagram handle. That I'm not I'm not telling him to go fuck himself, but you know, that is his chosen username. All right. Calls himself Fuck You Baker. He makes a lot of work. He's posting a new image very regularly. This is something that I was never really capable of doing because I'm so invested in doing large pieces. That's what I want to do. I still want to do large pieces. Like I said, I wanted, when I started doing this piece, I started feeling like this would be so much better if it was like a really big painting, because this stuff would be so much easier to manifest if I had a paintbrush in hand, which I don't. I'm doing this on computer screen, so it's kind of difficult to like really feel it out, you know. Even now I'm kind of like struggling to figure out what the fuck to do. This is so much easier to kind of like just put the paint down and it kind of sorts itself out, or like to sketch it out again. It just kind of, the lack of feeling kind of fucks with me a little bit here. And yet, again, you know, I need to worry more about getting it done than about the process itself. This is something that I really need to work on. This is one of the many things that has kind of led to me falling off, is just not having anything done, not showing that I'm doing anything, not producing anything, just going off into obscurity and being obscure. But I'm at a point where I'm starting to realize that, you know, after having spent so much time trying to create my work and figure out what it means and what it stands for, you know, I finally have that figured out, you know, the expression of escapism, expression of feeling trapped, lost, isolated and alone. That's kind of an integral part about my work. And it's really hard to get people to take that seriously on a fine art level. You know, like, people can take some seriously abstract works of art a lot more seriously than they can take mine, because mine is so graphical, it's so colorful, it's so psychedelic, it's so... It almost feels nerdy. I mean, it is kind of nerdy, you know. It's linked with video games and Dungeons and Dragons, which I've never played. I've never played a single D&D game. I'm very familiar with it. I'm not really... you couldn't get me to, like, tell you the rules or how it's played or anything. But I am familiar. I really should start getting more, like, creatura going on here. Get some creatura. That, I think, would certainly help vary some of this stuff. Maybe a little bit more level design and not simply just add a bunch of doors and bricks and stairs, which is pretty much all I've done so far. Let's get some other elements in here beyond that. That's something else that you would normally find in paintings like the ones I showed you earlier. Point is, I don't really have a very business mind. I don't really have a brand name mind. I think I kind of deliberately rejected that at a point. And I think that's where it really started going downhill, because I got so fucking concerned about doing things poorly, doing things wrong as a business, that I tried to reinvent myself entirely, and my career suffered for it. You know, I can blame so many things, but when it gets down to it, it really is just me that fucked up. You know, I can be resentful all I want. All the people that say your work's really cool but never bought it, they just want me to continue to produce really cool work for free forever. But I know the truth. It's just me. What's going on here? Are we no longer keeping up? Let's go ahead and lower the quality a little bit. 360. So that way it has no problem keeping up. Not that I can see the bar on this video because the background around there's kind of gray. Whatever. Kind of feel like I should throw on some here to keep myself warm. I gotta keep this window open because I don't have a fan that works anymore. Being in the basement with exposed insulation, black mold, and a former mouse infestation, it doesn't smell that good in here. As much as I've tried to prevent it from smelling bad, it got to a point where I couldn't bother to keep up with it. So we're not really we're not in prime cleanliness or good atmosphere like I could be, is what it is. I just need to come up with a plan, really, to get this going again. Because I feel like I do have something important to say. And again, like I said, the subject matter I deal with and the way I express it, rather the way I express it specifically, is kind of hard for some people to take seriously in the realm of fine art. It's largely because the people that like this sort of stuff are hard to take serious. Is what it is. It's also kind of overinflated now. There's so much, especially in like all of these kind of like pump and dump isekais, animes and mangas, and the independent creations out there trying to ride the fantasy wave. There's so much of it, and it's like, this is just another. This is, to most people, this is just another one of those. Can't really take it all that seriously these days because, another one will come along, probably more interesting than mine. It's got all the glitz, the glamour, the escapism. And mine's kind of not really about actually escaping. Well, it is in its own little way. Trying to escape from escapism. But the problem is, when you escape from escapism, you're kind of faced with a very brutal, grim reality, which comes back to, America as it is right now, the economy, and culture. Like, what do you escape back to? Like, you're going to these realms to escape for a reason. And I know all about it. I got a job. It sucks. It's not paying well enough. I don't see the numbers in my bank account going up the way I expect them to. So I get it. You know, I get into my daydreams the same way people get into their video games. It makes it really difficult to contend with reality when reality seems to contend so much better against you. So what's the point? You make all this progress, and for what? I get it. I understand. If anyone should take anything away from my work, it should be that I get it. We all are kind of in our own little dungeon, aren't we? Our own little dungeon that's inside a much larger dungeon. I really don't know how to put it into words. A coworker of mine asked me a little bit about the painting that I'm working on at work. I bring my art supplies with me to work to paint on my break time. And I knew what the painting stood for, I knew what it meant, I knew all about the symbolism. I understood it very intimately, and yet I could not, for whatever reason, accurately explain it. It's so much easier for me to get this across in images, which will go on to be misunderstood, misinterpreted. Undervalued. That's assuming they have any value to begin with. I'm not really sure they do. That said, I did recently receive a message on Instagram. Here, let me see if I can't get this over here to show you. I have to go through some channels here. Hold up. Give me 1 second. No. Here it is. Share Bluetooth. AK works. So someone sent me this. This is a long-time follower of my work. This is not the first time someone's got something of mine tattooed on them. This is actually pretty old. This is like 8 years ago I made this piece. I don't know if I actually have the original one on this computer someplace. I might. I doubt it, but I might. Can't open that. Yeah, there's nothing I can do there. I wouldn't know how to open that. I don't think I can get it anywhere else. I'd have to do some digging, or I'd have to do some, like, you know what, maybe I can do this. Maybe I can do this. See if I can't find the original here. Just to show where this piece came from. Yeah, here's the original. Unfortunately, I can't just simply grab it. I have to go through all the back channels just to get to it. Here we go. Could not parse the JPEG data. Now, ain't that some bullshit? It's alright, I have my methods. I have ways around this. I have to go through all of these roundabout ways just to show this one picture. So there's the original. This is from 2016. Yeah, this is 2016. This was actually a sticker design. Long time ago. Back from 2016. Ain't that some shit? But yeah, this dude's getting that tattooed on his leg. There's another guy that has something of mine tattooed on his arm. But I don't have that picture anywhere, and I don't remember who that guy was. But those are two confirmed tattoo designs or tattoos of my work that people have. So, you know, it's good to know that people fuck with it to the level where they get it on their bodies. I don't know if they got it because they vibe with it on an existential level or anything, but they have them. That's pretty neat. Absolutely zero things that I've said so far make sense, to the surprise of no one. I don't know what's going on down here. I feel like this is probably too wide. That's probably more accurate to what it's supposed to be. And then I can just take this one out a little more to balance it. I don't even know what the fuck I'm saying. I'm kind of just rambling, aren't I? It's okay. We can ramble. The pursuit of trying to understand things that I do not personally understand. Maybe someone else can come along and make sense of it for me. Take a load off my mind. I wouldn't recommend it. We would spend a lot of time figuring out just how much of a fucking hack fraud I am. And I already know. I don't need you to prove that to me. I kind of already proven it to myself. Ah, shit, I started doing that on the wrong layer. Alright, hold up. There we go. Let's try not to do that again. So what was I about to do right over here? I forget. I was about to do something, but for the life of me, I already forgot. Alright. Don't want these to be prominent up there. Or as prominent as they were. Naturally gotta get a little bit of a maze thing going on down there, just like within the last piece. Still at the problem of not knowing how I'm gonna color this. But that is some significant amount of progress made, more or less. Should definitely darken some of this up a little more up here. Some implied darkness. Would make for a nice Dungeon Synth album cover, I'm sure. Not something that would sound like what's playing now, though. What's playing now is too soft. What's playing now sounds too kind. It might be a little somber at some points here and there. Might have a little bit of sadness. But I think underneath my work, it's more repressed rage and frustration. Than it is sadness. I think I'm more of an angry person than I am a sad person. Consistently angrier than I am sad. Believe me, I am pretty sad at times, but I don't know. Still have no idea what I'm gonna color this. I can put as much sketch detail in here as I possibly can, and I still will have no idea what the fuck I'm doing. Which I don't. I don't think I ever will. just kind of how it goes, you know? I should make a t-shirt again sometime soon. I was thinking about some possible t-shirt ideas using this pixel art style, but I haven't settled on anything yet. I need to kind of go out of my way to come up with something. Let's go ahead and copy this and put this on the other side. Because this is more or less going to be symmetrical in a sense. I don't know how much more detailed these little areas here and here and here, which will be reflected on there, are going to be compared to what's going on in his body here. I might try and like keep it minimized to an extent. Maybe not go to the same level. Just have some kind of more vague, comparatively speaking. I'll have to think on that. For now, I'm going to take a quick break here and then come back, get some bully going. So that's where we're at right now. I don't know where that is. I don't know where I am. But here we are, all the same. Fascinating. All right. Quick break. Back in a little bit.